Gentlemen, unfortunately, this young generation is highly disadvantaged by the careless politics of their ancestors. They live in the age where the most important question for many governments is decreasing their debt. And the way of decreasing debt is also called the austerity. So the austerity measures will inevitably influence the social and economic life of the society negatively. In my speech, I will show you why the suggested measures by that are in contrary with the austerity measures that are made by the left-wing anti-austerity parties like Syriza, why they won't be effective, and what should young people do in the societies that are controlled by the older generation. So for the first part of my speech, generally the most common and main point in the programs of left-wing anti-austerity parties is progressive tax. It's also the case of the Syriza. They suggest raise income tax to 75% for all people whose income is over 500,000 euros per year. What is important, ladies and gentlemen, this tax will fail because people will avoid it, and people will avoid it because of two reasons. Firstly, because system allows them to do so. What is important in the European Union, the tax system is based on a residence. That means that if today you live in the Athens, you pay taxes to Greece. If you decide to move somewhere else, you will pay to your taxes to that state. For example, if you decide to change the residence to Monaco, you will not pay any taxes. That's important because nobody can prevent you to do so, nobody can stop you, nobody can tax you before, like it is in USA, because that's one of the most basic things in European Union, the free movement of labor. What more, rich people, the richest people have motivation to leave the country because they already know that they are contributing far more to the society, to the state, than less wealthy people. They are usually the owners of companies, they decrease unemployment, they can afford and they buy a lot more things than less wealthy people, and they feel uncomfortably with the fact that state want to contribute even more, and that's the motivation of leaving the country. We have, after all, just had the experience of the UK rise tax from 40 to 50%, which didn't pull any more money in the state and failed because of the reasons that I've just explained to you. Even if, and that's important, even if the richest people decided to stay in the country, progressive tax have to be just the part of many measures in order to decrease the debt, not the main point like it is in Syriza. For example, in France, the assumed income from the taxes from the progressive tax makes just 50% of money that have to be spared this year, and not the all, whereas Syriza absolutely refuse other austerity than the rich tax. And what more, they suggest things like free health benefits to the unemployed, homeless, and those who with low salaries, state guaranteed health care, open dining rooms in public schools to offer free breakfast, and things like that cost even more money. And that's not the way of getting out of the crisis. That's not the way, as I explained it to you, to decreasing the debt. For the second part of my speech, what can young people do in the societies that are controlled by the older generation? Firstly, they have to try to do as much as possible to participate in managing of the state. That means setting up some groups, associations or parties that will be in the contact with the politicians, that will present their ideas to the politicians. Yeah, like it is in the UK, when there exists UK Youth Council or Scottish Youth Parliament that have close working relationship with the people from parliament, with the politicians. Even then they do not have direct power, they are fairly influential. And if they were better relations between young people and politicians have motivation to listen to the young people, because in fact young people form 35% of the registered voters in many countries, and that's not small amount. And for the second suggestion, we have to realize that young people have a great power that comes from the youth, from their impertinence, from their ability to express their opinions. So when there is something, when politicians make something that disadvantage them, that when they disagree with the direction of the state, they have to strongly express their opinion, they have to manifestate, they have to go to the streets. And we know from the history that the young people were the part of some of the had major roles in some important political events, like in post-Soviet Union states, when resistance in Serbia, thanks to what Milosevic was defeated in elections, or massive protests in Ukraine, that were essential for the late success of the revolutions. So they can do it, then